If you like it, buy it. Look at it, I don't care. It seems like ages ago when I woke up one morning and I made the conscious decision that I was tired of being a small body beta male bitch AR-15 owner, and I bought a Ruger Mini-14. But is the Mini-14 a practical rifle to own, or is it just a range toy, a FUD assault rifle, or a gun bought by unbearable contrarian gun hipsters? The answer, yes. And I'll elaborate on today's video. I also tried to accessorize a Mini-14 for practical use, and I brought it to the Punisher course at Thunder Ranch to see if it performed well as an urban rifle. So you get some footage from that. Best of all, you'll get Clint Smith's take on the Mini-14 at the end of this video. The Mini-14 is a scaled down 223 version of the 308 M14 rifle with some other differences in addition to caliber. The Mini was designed by two of the best engineers in the gun biz way back in 1973, Jim Sullivan and Bill Ruger. And allegedly, they took the better part of a decade developing this rifle. It's handy with an overall length of just 36 inches. It actually weighs a quarter pound less than a civilian Colt M4 with plastic furniture. It's evolved like an Eevee over the years, and we'll gloss over that in just a second. No Vaporeon copy pasta, please. Terminal performance. We all know that the 5.56 is a perfectly capable round and has been the rifle caliber choice for the meat-eating, barrel-chested American Armed Forces for decades, as well as their vegan European NATO counterparts. It's such a good round that when we swapped to 5.56, Russia did also, but they didn't want to make it obvious that they were just copying God and Eugene Stoner's miracle caliber, so they invented the inferior 5.45 Communist Jihadist Special, which has been co-opted by Simpsons comic book guy AK-74 dorks, even though everyone just today realized that you can do everything the same or better with 223 in an AK platform. You can also get the Mini-14 in 300 Blackout, the same caliber used by a number of U.S. Special Forces units, or the Mini-30 in 7.62-39, the same caliber as the AK-47, so yeah, it's terminally effective. Let's talk reliability. The Mini-14 takes the Garand's already reliable self-cleaning action and makes it even more dependable by simplifying it. The Mini-14 has a well-deserved reputation for reliability, and while I haven't seen any concrete data, it's generally accepted that the self-cleaning action of the Mini-14 tends to be more reliable than the own pants-pooping direct impingement gas system used by the AR-15, which propels carbon back into the chamber during operation. We do have some good real-world evidence, though, from the man, Uncle Clint himself.
Reliable, to the best of my knowledge, yes. Usually the biggest shortcoming with this gun that I've seen over the time that it's been available, because I've actually been around, I remember long when they came out, the biggest shortcoming is the magazines. You got to get good magazines for the gun, okay? So there should be no dicking around with magazines, no shortcuts, no 3-round magazines.
Just get the Ruger brand.
Just get the right magazine and be done with it, okay?
Do these ever come through Urban Rifle, your courses?
We get, I'd say if we have 100 students, we might get one or two. And generally, it's either somebody who's relatively new to shooting, okay, and I've had some come in and 7.62-39, the Russian round.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so that, you know, the deal with it is if someone goes, I got a Ruger, the first thing that goes through my head, someone goes, I'm bringing my Ruger, and I go, awesome, get good magazines. I'm not worried about the gun working. The gun will work, but it needs to have good magazines to work.
So these have been reliable through Urban Rifle.
To the best of my knowledge, Like I said, we've seen scenarios.
Not many, but you've seen.
But you've seen scenarios where these guns have been used. I mean, what's the Miami shooting? One of the most significant things in the last 100 years. You know, and so like the guy, you know.
Then the guy in Europe and Scandinavia, whatever, like that guy,
So, you know, I have no issue. If I had a whole class of them, I got no problem with it.
So he only rarely sees the Mini-14 come through the Urban Rifle course, but when he has, he's never seen a malfunction over the past 40 years that he can remember. Moreover, I made a video years ago where I jammed the Mini-14 full of cornstarch, and it took a load without issues. Speaking of taking a load, a lot of people in the comments complained about my using cornstarch because they said cornstarch is a lubricant. I Googled it, and it turns out that INTPs, who are too afraid to buy a gallon of Astroglide and wink at the Walgreens cashier, actually mix water and cornstarch for a little homemade secret lube, and your mom thinks you're just practicing your baking, you sick son of a bitch. I'm not sure the solid version of cornstarch lubricates the hot action of a centerfire rifle the same way it lubricates other hot actions, but it's still a fun video. In any event, this is a reliable platform, and my 300 blackout version works great suppressed, being cleaner, cooler, much less gassy for me than my AR-15s. It can also be completely disassembled for maintenance in seconds just by opening up the trigger guard. Love shooting this gun with the new Rugged Alaskan 360 Titanium. That's the Rugged Alaskan 360 Titanium, which only weighs 6 ounces. Sorry about that, guys. Callie, who I love to death over at Rugged, has just been on my ass about this new suppressor. It actually is really good, and that's what I used for this video. Thank you, Callie. I think I just earned my suppressor. Durability. This is a bit of an unknown. I haven't seen more complaints of parts breakages for the Mini-14 than the AR-15, but then again, it's a less popular rifle by a huge margin. The Mini uses investment cast and heat-treated parts. Casting gets a bad rap, but that's mainly because it's often improperly done with inferior materials. But I've read that Ruger's casting tends to be just as durable as forged components. Again, this is just gibberish from the internet and chat forums and shit like that. But if any metallurgists, alchemists, or annoying people who never graduated high school but somehow know everything want to weigh in, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Tell me what you think, casting versus forging. Mini-14 uses a cold hammer forged barrel, which typically means that it'll maintain the same level of accuracy for twice as long as the average button rifled barrel in most AR-15s. I'd say that the Mini-14 is not known for breaking, so I think durability is a non-issue. But then again, just because there's not a lot of evidence out there of Mini-14s breaking, it's indicative of it being durable, but not dispositive, if that makes sense. Accuracy. Here we fucking go on this nonsense. The Mini-14, it had a reputation that it earned for being an inaccurate piece of shit. And frankly, it still has that reputation even though 20 years ago, Ruger began making it not inaccurate. In 2003, the Mini was revised to improve accuracy with a new modified gas system designed to reduce barrel vibration. And then in 2007-ish, Ruger added this heavier, tapered, cold hammer forged barrel, tightened up the tolerances with the rifle while maintaining reliability. If your Ruger Mini-14 has a serial number prefix of 584 or higher, you've got one of the new accurized versions, which I personally have squeezed tighter than Kim Kardashian's jeggings at under 2 MOA with off-the-shelf ammo at 100 yards.
Perfect hit right at the belt line. Perfect hit, slightly right. Okay, in the chest. So this was James, and less than a fist size. This is a 400-yard target. He's got 2 impacts here, 2 impacts here, and maybe 2 impacts there. I don't remember from seeing it through the glass. And then he shot a decent group down here, kind of the same thing. We're dealing with a lot of wind, especially at this range.
We're shooting from way yonder over there. And to be able to shoot this thing pretty rapid, you guys saw, with this 1:8x optic, yeah, too easy. So this is a surprisingly effective platform. I've always been a Mini-14 guy. So to put this in an urban context, this is the Punisher, which is like a gun obstacle course from Clint Smith at Thunder Ranch. His urban rifle course he's been teaching for 40 years. This is the cinder block wall here. We've got a guy in a red shirt at 100 yards, a guy in a yellow shirt at 200 yards, and then a really tricky shot of half of a man in a truck bed. Let's see how this does in that context. Ready? 200-yard man. And then now 250 in the bed of the truck. Oh, this is tricky. Boom.
That's a perfect center hit, about 9 inches above the belt line.
So that was just 600 yards. So the trigger breaks clean. There's no recoil. I could stay on target. So that was a dude at 600. If there was no wind, I swear to God, every single one of those would be hits. For that matter, at Thunder Ranch, using no-name ammo, the Rugged Alaskan 360, that's the Rugged Alaskan 360, and a low-powered primary arms optic, we got 2-inch groups at 100 yards. I'd say that's accurate. You know what else helps? The M14 style trigger that's really light, really crisp, absolutely beats the shit out of any AR-15, or at least stock AR-15 trigger out there. All right, now we're getting to what some would say are the less important factors, which are also the weaker factors for the Mini-14. Parts compatibility, third-party accessory support, not very strong with the Mini. For all intents and purposes, this is a proprietary platform, and there's not even a guarantee that older Mini-14 parts will work with the newer Mini-14s and vice versa. On the upside, Ruger's got some of the best customer service in the business, but during the end times, or Teotihuacan, or the second coming of Christ, or whatever, you better hope the Brotherhood of Steel establishes a perimeter around Ruger warranty service to keep it from being overrun by the cyber Mormons. This is also a reminder that while Mini-14 magazines aren't necessarily hard to find, the only magazines that aren't absolute dog shit are factory mags from Ruger that cost 3 to 4 times as much as AR-15 magazines. Now let's get to the real Achilles heel of this platform: modularity. That is the ability to accessorize and mount optics, lights, and so forth. The most important accessory is arguably an optic. Can you mount an optic on a Mini-14? Sure you can. You can also put hoisin sauce on your Pinkberry, but that doesn't mean it's going to be good. The nice thing is you've got options. The not nice thing is that none of them are really that great. Right out of the box, Ruger includes scope rings that mount directly into the receiver, and in retrospect, I really should have done that instead of what I did, which was install the piece of Picatinny rail. You can see right here that comes in the box. I hooked a Primary Arms PLX 1-8, which, by the way, phenomenal optic, with a couple of spare low scope rings that I found next to a stack of 1987 Playboys in Clint's office. The cheek weld, less than ideal. Not unusable, just not great. There are also third-party manufacturers like GG&G that make M14 style optic mounts that are also not super excellent for the same reason. They're high, and some of the other brands, if you find those, they can be suboptimal quality. I would do one of 3 things if I were getting an optic. For the scope, maybe use the factory rings. That way you'll just get it to be stable and low enough to be usable. If you don't care for using magnified optic, I've had great success using an EOTech on my 300 blackout version. Works super well for a short range caliber, looks good too. Finally, this is one of the best solutions that I've actually seen in a long time. This is Samson's metal handguard upper. It's an easy install, comes with an RMR footprint you can see here. I've got a Holosun 507 dialed right in. Pretty cool, right? Now to be fair, I actually haven't shot it yet, but I'm not too worried about it. It also gives you these excellent options at 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock. You can see I've got a QD sling swivel here, and I've got a little pick rail so I can mount a flashlight. So this piece actually makes your Mini-14 or Mini-30 much more modular than it would be without it, obviously. You could also do a similar setup to this with something like an Ultimac rail and use something like a Thorntail offset flashlight mount as an option. The bottom line, there are a lot of solutions for mounting an optic and accessories on the Mini-14. They're just inferior to the AR-15 Plus. Most of them also cost extra money or require minor gunsmithing. Money's another semi-weakness of the Mini-14, although price isn't as bad for the Mini-14 as people make it out to be. Ruger always has these batshit crazy MSRPs on their website, like $1,500 for a Mini-14 or something like that, but don't believe any of it. As I filmed this video, I saw a plain Jane Mini-14 on Reddit gun deals for $850. I've seen the tactical versions in the $900 range. Some people would say maybe I should just get an AR-15. and have money left over for accessories and ammo for $1,000 instead of getting a Mini-14. And those people are probably right. But that said, the Mini-14 isn't as overpriced as people make it out to be. Find me a quality AR-15 with an excellent trigger, cold hammer forged barrel from a company that's making guns for 75 years, with said AR-15 also having numerous international military and law enforcement contracts for under $1,000. I don't think you can. But if you do, can you also get it in stainless? I'm not telling you to get a Mini-14. Instead of an AR-15, I've got like 2 Mini-14s, a Mini-30, and like 30 AR-15s. Is it absolutely effective if you need to make hits at 400 yards, and we were shooting up to 700 yards with it? Yeah, it's great. If you like it, buy it. And I don't care.
Out of the box.
Yeah, iron sights out of the box. That's right. And a great trigger. I'm just telling you that you're actually getting a decent amount of gun for under $1,000 street price if you keep your eyes on the sales. Is the Mini-14 a practical tool? Hell yeah, it is, and it's more fun than being drunk at breakfast, but don't take my word for it. What's Uncle Clint gonna tell you? The Mini-14. So this is, of course, very similar to the M1A.
Yeah, been around a long time.
Yeah. What do you think of these, Clint?
Let's not talk about the gun. Let's talk about performance for a minute, okay? And people go like, well, this goes back into precision and surgical shooting. Plasmatics in the Miami FBI shooting, this is what one of the bad guys used.
Right.
All the cops, at least when they did oral interviews, like separate, talked about the psychological and physiological effect that this had. We didn't even talk about getting shot. Okay, we're talking about what goes on in your head. I like it. It's got iron sights. You know how I am about iron sights. I always want to be able to have a set of sights in case the scope takes a dump. I'm pretty sure it won't because it's a good scope. You got it. 20 round mag. They made 30 round mags. Okay, they made 5 round magazines. It's an M1 carbine. Okay, in 223.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's subtle changes that Ruger made in it and stuff like that, like the safety location and how it works and stuff like that. But you know, when you look at them, if I just took a picture of the bolts, like right here, you go, well, they're kind of the same gun, right? And you're like, no, but yes. Anyways, I got no problem with it. As far as like working with it, it loads like an M14. You have to push the paddle and rock it forward, which is slightly more AK-ish like, and you have to hook it in the front and rock it back, where a carbine's stuck straight up. Garand, you had to push down. I mean, there's a shit show. But these guns, the thing that an AR and this gun have in common is everything that I need to do with this gun fits inside my arms. Okay, I can take the mag out, put the mag in, run the charging handle like going underneath, a lot like I would an AK. That's how I would run it. If I have a smaller statured person, like ladies, you can tuck it here and run the charge. I don't give a shit. It's like AK. Guy goes, well, this is the cool technique, and I don't care. Pick a technique, use it. And you're gonna use it till you get shot in the arm. Then you have to come up with something else. You should be able to throw that behind the seat of the truck, and you know, especially with iron sights, when you pull it out 2 years later, it should be ready to rock.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So, you know, like if someone goes, take this rifle, this is what you have to fight with, I'll fight with it.
Am I shilling for Ruger? Yes. Did they pay me? No. I just love the Mini-14. They don't even know I'm making this video right now. The point I'm driving at here is that we are viewer supported. We don't take money from manufacturers in exchange for positive reviews. So please think about doing us a favor, supporting us on Patreon, Utreon, Subscribestar. For Utreon and Subscribestar, you can win $1,900 worth of gift certificates every single month. We give away 6 $250 gift certificates to Top Gun Supply, your online shooting sports superstore. You can take those and buy whatever you want from Top Gun Supply. We also give away 4 $100 gift certificates to Blue Alpha. They make some of the best slings, belts, soft gear in the game, plus they're really good people. So guys, we give you something back for giving us your support, and that's how we like doing things around here at TFBTV. Let me know what you think of the Mini-14 in the comments. Am I off base here? You're probably gonna say yes, but I always enjoy the discussion. So let me know what you think, good or bad, in the comments. Guys, I'm just glad you're watching. Take care.